I'm talking to you. And you know what? You're a human being, just like me. You are. No hidden agenda, no silliness. Just a truthful statement. You know, genetically speaking, the differences between human beings are literally skin deep. Genetically, we are all one race, and we are all human beings. And I want to get that out front right now. So if that disagrees with something in your mind, and you want to click off or unsubscribe, that's okay. But I want you to know, you can look it up yourself, and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. I still love you. And I actually do. I actually love my audience. I write to you guys all the time. I talk to you. I work with you. I do your suggestions. And I know some of you are way over here and way over here. But whether you think I am or not, your friend Dr. Andrew Michaels is as close to the middle as he can get. Because Dr. Andrew Michaels wants everyone to be welcome here. I don't want people to feel excluded or marginalized or unwelcome here. And that includes you, way over here, and you, way over there. And I don't care who you vote for. I really don't give a shit. And I don't care what you believe in. And I don't care what your ideology is. I don't care. I really don't care. But what I do care about is that I stopped for a minute and talked to you. And I told you you're a human being, just like me. Most of the differences in human beings depends on what latitude your forefathers lived at, to the darkness of your skin, to the shape of your face. But other than that, we're generally all the same. We're not cats and dogs. There's no subhuman and human. Nobody is less human than the next. If you take a human being and you mate it with another human being, you get a human being. No matter what you've been told, no matter what you've ever heard, we're all the same. We're just another mutt. And to be quite honest, we're all mixed up. We're mixed up here too. We have all these social constructs and all these financial constructs to try and convince us we're all different, to divide us, keep us from focusing on what the real issue is. And the real issue is we got to cut it out. We got to cut all this hate and ugliness out. I got a drink for you if you want to have one with me. I know a lot of people probably think I'm a silly old son of a bitch drinking malt liquor out of a 40-ounce bottle. I grew up in this city, and I miss it. I miss my buddies drinking. Some of them are dead now. I've lived long enough to bury enough people. But I remember my buddies drinking Mickey's Big Mouth, Colt 45s, Little Kings, Genesee Cream Ale. Never liked that. I got freaking lotion on my hands. No, I can't open it. I can't open it. I've got lotion on my hands. And it's a tradition on YouTube when you crack one of these bad boys open. You crack it open on camera. And you throw the cap at the camera. And when you drink it labels out. Labels out, my friend. And here's one for you. Go ahead. I think after what's been going on this week, we could all use a drink. Whether it's good for you or not. I could drink a lot faster, but my lip's not healed yet. It's getting there. Boy, that tastes good tonight. Take my allergy pill. This eye mine's bothering me really bad. I'm sorry for that. Well, oh, I love that stuff. That's some tasty stuff. Old Lando Calrissian used to do commercials for this. Billy D. Williams. He was great in that movie. The new Star Wars. I really didn't like the new Star Wars movies that much. Call me old-fashioned, but I thought Billy D. did pretty good. And the rest of the original cast. I'm going to tell you. And why am I coming out with this? Because there's so much crap going on right now. I'm sick of it. And I want to tell you 2 or 3 stories about racism in my own life to try to help you think about it and put it in perspective. And I want you to think. I don't want you to agree with me. I don't want you to vote a certain way. I don't want you to quit doing what you got to do to make the world right for you. But I want you to think. I just want you to think for a few minutes. And if you hate me for that, well, go ahead. But I don't hate you. I don't hate you. That's why I'm talking to all of you. And I hope you're still here. Now, when I was a young man, I was about 19. My friends all went to the service. My father became semi-disabled when I was 18, the summer I turned 18. I took my college entrance exam for English at Youngstown State University. I really did. And I qualified for honors English. And I was going to take a travel agency school that I paid for in Florida. And what I was going to do is, go to this travel agency school. And then I was going to use that to get a really good job that wasn't going to be physically hard on me. It was going to be a job like, working at a hotel or a airport or a travel agency. And it wouldn't be too physically rough on me. And then I'd be able to concentrate and study at night. Because I kind of knew by the time I was 18 that when I worked real hard, I couldn't, I'd be too tired at night to go to class. And that's really important, You take those guys that dig ditches and weld and work with steel, and then they go to school at night. Man, you're badass, because mentally my brain would just come down a couple notches when I worked real hard. I just couldn't do it. And I wanted a better life. I wanted a good job. I wanted to wear a tie to work. And I wanted to improve on my life. I didn't want to be a manual laborer my whole life. And it took me a long time to get there, because the summer I graduated, my dad started getting ill. I don't want to go into detail, but he started getting ill, and it really wasn't good to leave home. Family needed me working, and they needed a little extra money. And my brother wasn't living there anymore, my older brother. And with my dad laid up, there were some problems that I thought I should be there and keep an eye on things. And maybe help out. So I let the travel agency school go, and I thought, well, that's okay. I can still go to college. 2 or 3 years later, I met my wife, and college was 100 miles away then. And she was in a kind of a bad situation. My dad was in a bad situation. I thought, well, maybe if I get married, I can make more money. Guys will put me to work more, because I was in a union trade then, and maybe I could get more work then. So I got married, made things right with my girlfriend, wife. And then a year later comes a kid. And it took years for us to really get ahead. And we struggled. I'm kind of going all over. But I know some of you like hearing my stories. So I was a pretty poor white kid. And I don't like to say white, black, but I need you to understand. I was that poor white kid that a lot of you guys think you are, and there's no hope in sight. And my buddies all went to the military, and a lot of the military bases where they went to boot camp were down in like South Carolina maybe, and North Carolina. I seem to remember those two places. Maybe Fort Hood was one of them. I'm not sure where that is. But anyway, they came back, and they had gone to some parades, and in the parades there was the Klan was marching and stuff, and they brought back Klan paraphernalia and were showing me, and they were really into it, and they thought it was really funny and cool and neat, and it just appalled me. It appalled me. I even at a young age, I didn't see race the way a lot of people do, and the reason why was I would have people explain race to me, and they would say, oh, these people put you down, they'll screw you over, they'll bully you, they'll beat you up, they'll steal your girlfriend, they'll take your job from you, all this bull crap. And I looked around and I said, and I'm being at a very young age, I'm in an all-white community, and the only guys that are screwing me over, bullying me, knocking my teeth out, kicking my ass, stealing girls from me, bad-mouthing me, ratting me out to teachers, generally putting the boot to me, they're not black or Chinese or Puerto Rican or Mexican. They were white. The only people that prejudiced against me were white. And I saw it for what it was. It's a smokescreen. It's bullshit. It doesn't count for anything. It's worthless. It's a waste of energy. You're standing around and your buddy's worrying about what these guys from the inner city are doing, and your buddy's over there boinking your girlfriend, and he's whiter than you are. So anyway, I didn't have no use for racism. It didn't make sense to me. Plus, I didn't understand it. Maybe people who grew up all white come out thinking, yeah, we're number one or something. I come out of it thinking, you people all suck. You treat me like crap. And, I struggled my whole life. And all my teachers were white. I had a lot of teachers that were good to me, but I had other teachers that tried to, put me down and keep me from advancing. I had people in the community trying to keep me from advancing myself. And I had to leave the community to start out new and make a name for myself. And I had to do it with my hands. And I had to work from the bottom all the way up. And I had to work hard. I had to work every bit of overtime anybody offered me. I had to go live in a hotel. I had to travel an hour to work. There was no break for me, no peace for me. For years, I'm talking 10 years of my life, I was like an indentured servant to myself. Just working as hard as I could with everything I had. And I had white friends and I had black friends. I had black friends that were so close to me, they were like a brother. And I still, in the back of my mind, I got screwed over at work. And it was not a black man. It was not a Chinese man. It was a white man that screwed me with the boss. Screwed me out of that job. Went and told a tale on me and got me in trouble with people at work. It was always my own people. I didn't have time to worry about blacks. So now my buddies are coming back from the army and they're joking and smoking and laughing at this Ku Klux Klan paraphernalia. And It appalled me. I'm back to that part. And I just struggled with it. And I took one of my friends out, and we had a couple beers. And he kept just telling me, why shouldn't I be racist? And he gave me all these reasons, all the rhetoric, all the propaganda. And I didn't know how to answer him. Because they've got some smooth arguments. And I didn't know how to argue back then. And finally I said what I just said to you. Because when we were in high school, and he went to the same high school I did, who was beating you up? Who was stealing your girlfriend? Who was putting you down? Who was calling you names? Who was knocking your mailbox off the stand at your under your driveway? Wasn't blacks. It was always whites. The only time you ever got prejudiced against was whites. The only time anybody was racist with you was whites who thought they were better than you. And he stopped. Like, I actually affected him. Now, you can tell me I made this story up and I'm a bull crap artist and everything I say is a lie. But Greg, if he's watching this video, knows I had that conversation with him. And Greg knows that he stopped and he listened. And I want you to think about that. And Greg knows who he is. And then the second story I want to tell you is I took my friend out to lunch and he was black. And I have to preference this story that he was black. Or, and I'm Mr. Lily White, and we went out to lunch together. And we went to a food counter, and the lady would not serve him. I mean, this is like 1992. And he's like, Mike, she won't serve me. She won't talk to me. And I go, nah, come on. So I said, he wants this and that and the other thing. She would not serve him. So I said, okay, I'm going to explain how this works. I want 2 of this. I want 2 of that, 2 of this. It was like a food counter. You had to tell them what main and what side you wanted, and what dessert you wanted, or whatever vegetable, So I picked it all out, and I want 2. How's that sound? Then we went over. I paid. She wouldn't take. No, wait a minute. I paid, and I handed him his. I go, you ain't going to take his money? She took his money. Because I stood right there until she took his money. And she would not look at me or him, and she would not look up. And I said, ain't this something? And I saw to it. I went back to work, and I told all my friends at work what she did to him. And nobody believed me. They said, this is 1992. People don't act like that, especially here in this town. And I'm like, it just happened. Sure as hell, some other people went down there and the same thing happened. And I'm not going to say who it was, but a friend of mine who was, higher up in the company, he went down there and he had her fired. And she deserved to lose her job. And if you have a problem with that, that's fine. And if you think that's funny, I don't think it's funny she lost her job. I think we should have educated her. I think there could have been a different way. But at that time, that's what people thought was the answer. We'll get her fired. We'll silence her. We'll push her away. And it'll go away. And I got news for you. That just hardened her resolve. That just hardened her racism. I believe that. I don't know that. I believe that. That just gave her the excuse to say, look what they did to me. See, I stood up for what I believed in, and that person got me fired. I know it was him. And I always regretted that she got fired. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was the right answer, and I still don't think it's the right answer. Maybe the right answer would have been if I would have went in there and said, I need you to meet my friend. here, and his name is Errol. His mom named him after Errol Flynn, the movie actor. And Errol was one of my closest friends for 10 years, and I loved him like a brother. And I had a brother that worked with us, and my brother loved him like a brother, so he was a really great guy. And Earl and I faced a lot of petty, stupid racism. We'd go out on a job, and people would act weird with him. And I said, you wait till you see this guy work. And you know how we beat racism? You know how we beat that? We got down and worked our asses off. We worked our hands down to the nubs. We worked till we couldn't move no more. We made some money for a lot of people. And then people said, hey, that's a good kid. Earl's a great guy. Mike's a great guy. That's a good kid. I had people buy us lunch because we worked so hard. And, back then, you'd come in and do a job, and then, maybe for like a weekend on a union job, and you do like a quick weekend job. And the guy would say, like, everybody, we'll go out and have a couple of beers and have something to eat. And they said, everybody's coming. And said, everybody. So they brought everybody. They didn't care what you were. You just made them a pile of money. And I learned then that money changes the color of everybody. Money fixes a lot of things in this world. Because then there's only one color. There's only one color when money's involved. And that's the color of green. And green makes this world go round. And if you can make some rich guy over there, some boss man, a lot of green, he doesn't care if you're purple, blue, or red. You are his man. Man, did you hear that? You're not his boy, and you're not, whatever else. You're his man. And he'll treat you accordingly when it comes to that long green. He might not have you over at his house for barbecue, but he's good to you at work. But little baby steps. I'm trying to think of that. The reason I'm talking to you about this today is I've seen people in my comments section and that, because I do read all your comments, say you're a little too left, or you're a little too this, or you're a little too that. I want you to know, that's fine. You can say whatever you want about me. But I still want you to know I care about you. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what you stand for. I didn't ask you to believe what I believe. I asked you to listen. I asked you to give me a chance to talk to you. And I asked you to let me be heard. Just let me be heard for a minute and think about what I'm saying. And then you examine your own life. You examine your own life. I'm not going to talk about what happened in Milwaukee because I'm not from there. And I'm not going to talk about what happened in Chicago or New York or LA or Florida because I'm not from there. But I am from Youngstown, Ohio. And I want to show you a photograph. I don't even know if I'm allowed to show it because it's not mine. I don't own it. But you see that picture right there? That's Youngstown, Ohio. And that was last Sunday. June 1st, I think. They had a peaceful rally, and the police walked with the protesters. The chief of the police right on down the line. They met the protesters with open arms. Youngstown is, they call it the blackest city in America. They just can't say nothing nice about Youngstown. In 52 years of my life, they've never said a goddamn good word about Youngstown. Oh, they put down the people of Youngstown. But I swear on the hand of my kid's head that Youngstown's a good city with a lot of good people. Every ethnic race that ever come through this country, every immigrant race that ever came through this country, group of people that ever came through this country, your Poles, your Italians, your Greeks, the African Americans, the Irish, all of them, the Ukrainians, they all come through Youngstown to work at the steel mills that used to be there. And every ethnic race had, you had your Italian American club, you had your Ukrainian Orthodox Church, you had your Russian Orthodox Church, you had your Eastern Orthodox Church. I don't know who that was for. You had the Greeks over here in Campbell, and you had the Italians over here, and you had the Ukrainians over there, and you had the Polish over here, and you had the Irish over here, and you had the African Americans there on the on the east side, and everybody got along. Now there were bad parts of town, and there was nice neighborhoods. There were bad neighborhoods, but everybody got along. And in that photo I just showed you, Tim Ryan, the congressman for that district. I'm going to tell you one more thing, because I hear a lot of crap, and I'm not pounding the drum for Democrats, but Mahoning County and Trumbull County are the most Democratic part of the state of Ohio. Ohio's like a 50-50 red and blue state, almost like the United States. It's almost divided, almost like exactly. The state of Ohio is like almost like a microcosm of the United States. And we swing presidential elections every time. You're not going to win unless you win Ohio. And a lot of it in the industrial north is predominantly, in the inner cities, is Democrat. And then out in the country, it's Republican, just like the United States. And these people all get along. They really do. And, it doesn't get any more Democrat than Mahoning and Trumbull County in Ohio. And you can look that up. So I'm not telling you stories. But I will tell you something. You look at that crowd. That crowd is white, black, everything. Anything under the sun is in that crowd. And Tim Ryan is walking with the people. The chief of police is walking with the people. The religious leaders, the church reverends, are walking with the people. They ain't standing above them. They're not standing in defiance of them. They're walking with them. And don't tell me when you sit there and you badmouth all these areas, you don't put labels on people. The people in my town, when it come down to it, were good people, and they did the right thing, and they took care of each other, and that's what they've always done. When the mills went out, Youngstown was a piss hole. There was no jobs, wages just crashed, and all this happened right before I graduated high school. And I tell you what, it was a horrible place, and it came back, and it fought, and those people struggled, and they're still there, and they're still good people. And you don't sit there and you don't smear people just because of labels. And I bet you could find, I won't speak on it because I don't know your town, but I bet you people, if you know that your town is predominantly Republican, and your chief went out there and he met the people and he worked with the people, I bet you the same thing happened. And I bet that there was a lot less violence when people took that tact with the people. I saw a sheriff or a police chief up in Flint, Michigan, offering to walk with the people. And I don't know their voting ranks, so I don't want to speak on them. But the point is, Flint, I do know, is a poor community, and they've been through hell. But their people chose to walk together. And that's what we've got to learn. You've got to put the differences away. You've got to put it away. It doesn't work. All this division and calling people names, derogatory comments, racist comments, racist propaganda, it doesn't work. All it does is divide us, and it turns us against each other. And I'll tell you what, it bothers me that in 2020 we're having this conversation after 9/11. 9/11 brought so many people together. I was proud of this country. And I remember when, and I didn't vote for Bush, Barack Obama or Trump. I didn't vote for either of them, all three of them. And I had personal reasons, and it had to do with economics with Obama, because Joe Biden and him were against power plants, and I lost my job during that time at a power plant. So I don't really want to get into this because it's, pisses me off, but I can still see past that and look at the person, even though I didn't like their political policies. I didn't like a lot of the things George Bush did, but in post 9/11, I was proud that my president, did certain things. There was always presidential moments with Bush and Obama that I was proud to be an American. And I wanted to say something real quick, that Obama did a speech when he was running for, I think, senator for Illinois. And he said, I have friends in white states, I have friends in blue states. I have friends in red states. I have family in red states. I have family in blue states, something like that. I remember watching that speech, and I thought, this guy is a good man. And I know there's half of my audience is going to tell me, fine. That's my opinion. But I thought that was a good man, and that was a good speech. And it was a speech that said, I have friends in all these places, and I want my friends to come together. It reminded me of that song, I Got Friends in Low Places, by that country singer. And I always loved that song. I thought that song was so popular because it brought people together. I got friends in low places. And I always liked that song. And I cannot remember his name. Who's that singer? He's a really good guy, and real patriotic. And I liked that speech, and I liked what he said. I didn't vote for him, but I still liked him for what he said. Didn't vote for Bush, but I was happy when he stood there at 9/11 and said, don't worry, we're coming to talk to you about this. When he stood there with that fireman at the World Trade Towers. And I was happy when Obama took care of Osama bin Laden. That was a good day. I remember that. And one of the things I remember most about it was President Barack Obama said I watched a press conference, and he said that he called former President Bush, former President Clinton, and asked them if they wanted to speak to the American people about the assassination of Osama bin Laden. And he said that they said, no, you're the president now. I mean, I'm not saying exactly. You're the president now. You take care of it. You speak to the people. And I thought that was one of the most presidential things I've ever seen, was those three men who were very diametrically opposed politically getting along in these kind of moments. And I think that's something that we've, for whatever reason, lost in this country. And I'm not pointing any fingers, but I think we've all gotten to the point where you're either with me or you're against me. And there's a lot of anger and hatred and frustration out there right now. And it makes me sad. And I'm not a pussy. And I'm not a wimp. And I'm not a bleeding heart liberal. It makes me sad. It breaks my heart, wondering where my friend Earl is up in East Cleveland, wondering if he's okay, and wondering about my other friends. I got friends that I worry about right now, because are they going to be stopped on the way home because of the color of their skin? And I got a lot of fear in my heart. And I also see a lot of my friends that are policemen, and I'm afraid for them too. I'm afraid somebody might hurt them because they think they're less than us. I grew up watching this guy and his name was Fred Rogers. And I saw his recent documentary and movie, and I thought, boy, I miss him. I miss him. And I learned a lot about race and differences in people from that man. And he was a good man. He was a nice, good man. And something the movie presented in its own way is something that stuck with me through, it was like a thread through the whole Fred Rogers story. And I'd like to think Fred Rogers inspired me just a tiny bit. And that was, Fred Rogers didn't give up on you. He knew we were all different. He knew we were all not the same. And he knew there were things that separated all of us. But he also knew that he loved you just the way you are. He loved you just the way you are. And if I could be like him and tell you that, then I would. And I hope someday I can be like him. But there was another thing about him that stuck with me that I think helped me a lot more in my life. And that was something that I live by. And that was, you fight until the fight is over. That's how I say it. You fight until the fight is over. That means I don't quit on you. I don't give up. I don't turn my back on you. You can turn your back on me for a while, but you're welcome to come back. And you know I'll be waiting for you. And when I say the fight, you fight until the fight is over, it's like Fred said, you don't give up on people. You don't quit on people just because it's hard. And you don't quit on people just because they're different than you. You don't resort to it. It's ugly to call people names. It's ugly to put people down. It's ugly to bully them. It's ugly to steal from them, take from them. It's ugly to commit crimes against people. And I think everyone's a little guilty right now of a little bit of that. And I think we need to remember that we're all brothers and sisters, and we're all human beings. And I'm not willing to give up on you. And I don't want you to give up on me. I won't speak on this again. I think you get enough of this every freaking day on Twitter and Facebook and the news. And I know most of you get it, only hear what you want to hear, and only see what you want to see. And I think a lot of you just see an old man drinking on a malt liquor and having a laugh. I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you campaign for. I really don't care what your ideology is. You can do whatever you want, but you're still a human being, just like me. And I'm a human being just like you. And I actually do love you just the way you are. You can't help yourself any more than I can. I'm who I am, and I'll always be who I am. I can't escape that. Maybe you can't either. But I don't want to hate you for it. I want you to know that I care. I care very much about you. And as dumb and as trite and as silly as it sounds, I love you. I love you, my audience, just the way you are. And if you waited till the end, you know I don't care. Now, if you're putting up Nazi crap on my channel, I'm going to get mad at you because you know you're just trying to piss me off. But other than that, I still love you. Okay? I had to tell a joke or you guys are going to get like all weepy on me. Okay. And if you don't understand something, ask me and I'll try and talk to you. All right? I just don't want to paint this thing as with a brush. Like, you have to believe this or you have to believe that. My eye just is not healing real well here. I think we should come together. And I think that our differences, when you bring them together, we can meet in the middle. We really can. We just gotta quit letting people push us apart. Okay? Okay. You guys take care. And I know it probably wasn't what you wanted, but I want everybody to know what side of the fence I came down on. And I want my kids to know where I came down on this. And I think I answered that question. And I think I can sleep at night. Okay? If you're not sleeping well at night, maybe you should reevaluate some of the things in your life. And while you're doing that, I'll still be here. And I'll still talk to you. And I'll still be your friend. And we're going to get through this. You and me, we're going to get through this together. We are. Because we don't give up. We don't quit until the fight is over. Okay? All right. Till I see all of you again, please have a most blessed day. Stay safe. Take care of yourself. Behave. And, try and do a good deed today. Would it break your goddamn heart to do a good deed today? All right. Tell somebody you love them. Give your mother a hug, for goodness sakes. And know that big dumb Dr. Andrew Michaels loves you. Just the way you are. Boy, that's some good beer. That is some good beer. Take care.